If you're giving too much in relationship, you are blocking yourself from receiving love. Your tank will be running on empty if it isn't already, because the act of overgiving and overfunctioning comes from a core belief that you're unworthy of receiving love. So today I'm going to dive into how to turn this cycle around, and stick around to the very end of the lesson because I'll show you how overgiving is also a sign that you might be in the wrong relationship and what to do about that. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kerr, and I work with women who are stuck in unhealthy cycles of relationship where they always feel insecure and anxious, and I help them to turn it around to really rediscover their self-worth and feel secure from the inside out so that they can create an incredibly healthy and secure relationship with the person they deserve. And if you want more content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later, and click the bell button so you get the notifications when I post lessons like this every week. Now, before we begin, I want to let you know that a few spots on my calendar have opened up this week for the free strategy session for the Love by Design program. If you want to know more about how to apply for that, watch till the very end of the video and I'll show you at the end. So overgiving on any level is a sign of a deep imbalance in the relationship that you have with the other person, but more importantly, it's a sign of imbalance in the relationship you have with yourself. And at a deep level, you're actually treating them the way that you wish that they would treat you, and it's actually the way that you need to treat yourself. And we can't receive this kind of love because we're stuck in a cycle that's underpinned by a deep belief that we're not worthy of love. We don't think we deserve it, and maybe we don't think we need it. And this can breed really unhealthy resentment in a relationship because you have an unhealthy expectation that they should return it, but you're also blocking it at the same time. And you probably aren't expressing your needs and setting clear boundaries that allow them to meet your needs in a healthy way. Now, this is an aspect of an unhealthy relationship that we probably had with our primary caregiver when we were growing up. It's actually a safety mechanism that we learned. We did this to feel safe growing up as children, because by overgiving to our parent, we were ensuring that they needed us, that they couldn't reject us, right? I'm going to make myself indispensable here so that my parent or caregiver doesn't reject me. Now, it's come from an innocent place, this need for safety, because we actually on a deep level aren't feeling accepted and loved by our parents. But this is actually a method of control that we learned when we were children, a controlling safety mechanism that served us well then. It kept us safe then, feeling belonging and feeling safety and love then, but it really doesn't serve us now as adults, right? The adult story is that I'm going to make them rely on me so that they can't leave me. So when you're overgiving in your adult relationships, you are in a really awkward place. You've wedged yourself between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, you overgive in order to feel safe and needed by your partner. And on the other hand, you block receiving that very same love because you're too busy overgiving and believing that you don't actually deserve it. Now, this is what happens if we don't do something about this. We can start to attract people that take advantage of our overgiving and our overfunctioning in relationships. We're drawn to partners that need our help, those that can benefit from our overgiving. They slot right into our narrative because we feel we finally belong with this person. This person automatically needs us. We have a place in this relationship. But what we're actually doing is we're attracting people that are needy and always take from us. Now, I know this pattern really well. I was stuck in it for 15 years, and you launch into a relationship like this based on their potential, right? There's something about them that needs fixing or changing, and because we're overgivers, we're the ones to do that. And the hope is that they'll finally be fixed by us, and then in the future we can have a healthy relationship. Now, this cycle, like I said, is very familiar to me, and it feels very weirdly familiar and comfortable when you're in it. But it's underpinned by a huge amount of stress and loneliness because you're not being seen and heard and appreciated for who you are. It's all reliant on how much you give. There's no nourishment there. There's no healthy exchange of love. Now, let me know if this lands for you. Have you been in a relationship like this? And what were the stories that were driving you to keep you stuck in that cycle? So I'm going to show you how to unblock this cycle and really turn around the imbalances where you're both giving too much and you're stopping the receiving of love. The first thing you need to learn how to do to stop overgiving is to learn something called internal boundaries. These are guidelines we set for ourselves to shift out of our old patterns and beliefs. Now, your core internal boundary is something that I call your circle of self. This is what defines you, what belongs to you, what you have sole responsibility and control over. You can't palm any of that off to anyone else. The only person that can fill the cup of yourself is you. I like to think of it as my emotional garden. Only I can tend to the plants and do the watering of the emotions that are within my control. And I also have to do the weeding. I have to pull out the old core beliefs and how they manifest regularly on a daily basis so that I stay on track. So within your circle of self, you need to tend to the very bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which are your physiological needs, your safety needs, and your emotional needs. So physically, if you need to eat better and move more frequently and you're not, it's a sign that you're stuck in this cycle of palming it off to other people or giving too much to other people and thinking that you don't deserve being looked after. You might have a belief that it's selfish to constantly look after yourself like that. But, if we don't look after ourselves, we can't actually give to others. So that in itself is being selfish. And the only person that can be responsible for your own physiological needs is you. So start to lean into manageable ways that you can build trust that you are looking after your body again. Going for a short 10-minute walk every day, choosing slightly healthier options to eat that make you feel good and nourished rather than making you feel bad and sick and heavy. And know that when you choose not to move and when you choose to eat really heavy, uncomfortable foods, that feeling you get afterwards is a sabotage that you have as well to reinforce that feeling that you aren't worthy. You are kind of punishing yourself based on that core belief that you're unworthy of love. Now, more specifically relevant to this channel and what I talk about are your safety and emotional needs. So if you're overgiving in a relationship that is toxic and there's trauma or abuse present, your actual presence in that relationship is significantly undermining your safety needs. Now, I've been in an extreme situation like that before, and I know that it's hard to get up and leave because of fear of repercussions. So if you're in a situation like that, you need to start gathering a safety net outside of a relationship. Start to gently reach out to a friend or to a colleague or to a professional to start getting the momentum to leave that relationship. It's a really scary transition and you can't expect to do it straight away, so start building up that safety net. And most importantly, start speaking privately to a professional about it. Now, if you're in a not so extreme relationship, but you are pursuing unavailable love, as in that person does not make you feel safe or belonging or accepted in the relationship, but you keep overgiving and you keep pursuing them, I want you to start to become aware of what energy it is that's constantly reaching out to them and checking in with them. Because ultimately you have control over how you spend your time and energy and how you use your mobile and how you use social media. So when you feel that urge to reach out or overgive, ask yourself a question. What need are you trying to fill right now? What's the feeling that's underneath that need? Is it loneliness? Is it sadness? Or is it fear? And then next, ask yourself, how else can I meet this need right now? Write out a list of things you can do that can help meet your need when you're feeling lonely. So what can you do to feel connected? Reach out to a friend, spend some time with a pet. If you're in fear, how can you bring yourself back to feeling safe in your body? Can you take a warm bath? Can you practice some really beautiful self-care in that moment? We need to switch out the activities we do that's overgiving and over pursuing with activities that are actually filling that need within yourself, right? Because what we're doing for them is actually truly what we need to do for ourselves. Because the core belief that's running overgiving is the belief that we're not worthy of receiving love. So we have to override that by practicing and engaging in self-love practices, meeting our own needs first before we meet others. And then noticing it and appreciating it on a daily basis, what we are doing for ourselves, and noticing that we are kind of gaining this self-trust momentum because we are learning how to look after ourselves properly. Once you start to strengthen your circle of self, notice where you override or bypass the boundary of who you are to give to someone else. This is where we literally take ourselves out of who we are just to live in and be with another person, just to give them everything. It's a strange concept, but when you've had enmeshed relationships since childhood, you've lost your sense of self because you're so focused on getting validation and love from the people around you. Overgivers really have a permeable sense of self. So as we strengthen our circle, our boundaries become less permeable, and we need to notice what are the things that pull us outside of our circle of self, and how can we do things to get us back inside who we are and back looking after our garden, so to speak. Then the other thing you're going to do is start unblocking your receiving muscle. And this is where the other side of the cycle will really kind of complete the process for you. Now, obviously, we need to be discerning about who we're opening up to receiving from. If we've been in an unhealthy or toxic relationship, we really need to set some healthy boundaries and space there and not practice receiving. So think of a relationship in your life where you do feel safe. And if there's no one close to you that you actually feel safe with, consider innocent ways that people like co-workers and friends or people in passing try and give to you. Perhaps it's a free coffee or a gift, or they just want to show up for you to help you with something. And you would normally say no to them. You'd normally say, oh no, it's fine. They're the moments you need to stop and start practicing saying yes. Thank you. Little moments of gifts that are coming your way. Start receiving them and saying thank you for it. Even if you don't want it, it's just a coffee or a gift. The more important thing is to start practicing and flexing your receiving muscle. Now, it's going to feel weird and uncomfortable when you start doing this, because if you're an overgiver, you think that receiving help and receiving gifts is an act of weakness, or, you're independent enough, you don't need help. And yes, that super independent identity is definitely a block to receiving. Or you might worry about consequences, like that gift is coming with some kind of expectation that you'll do something for them down the line. There's some kind of inherent contract that you now owe them. That stems from emotional contracts in your childhood where you had a caregiver that would guilt you into getting their way by giving you things or doing things for you in exchange for other things. Now, that's a really common parenting style, so go easy on yourself if you notice you're worried about receiving from people based on these contracts. Because in reality, you set the boundary of how you receive and how you give. So there's no emotional contract involved if someone's offering to help you with something and you aren't able to help them in return when they request something of you. That is always for you to decide what you're able to offer them. You're in control of that. So we need to get the hang of saying yes, receiving, without ties and expectations, and trusting in our own boundary setting ability that we are in control of what we then need to give out. And the reality is that when you're giving someone something, their ability to receive is really a gift to you. So being able to receive when people are trying to give you things is actually a gift back to them. So just to summarize, I want you to take away this feeling of this cyclical nature of giving and receiving. If you're overgiving, there's an imbalance and you're blocking receiving. We need to get the ball back in balance, if that makes sense. We need to start giving in the right amount, and we need to start opening up our receiving. So there's this flow of energy coming in and out. Now, like I said earlier, if you're always attracted to people that tend to take advantage of you and that they're emotionally unavailable themselves, I want you to watch this video next that will help you to unpack the more specific attachment reasons as to why that is. Because like I alluded to, this need to overgive can really impair our judgment and discernment when it comes to choosing partners. It suits our wounds to be with someone who just takes and never gives back, because it keeps us in that safe pattern and that familiar pattern from childhood. It's like the hand fits in the glove perfectly, but it can leave you feeling incredibly drained and worthless, and it is not a healthy, reciprocal, balanced relationship. Now, if you're interested in learning how to get out of these patterns that keep you feeling unworthy and feeling drained and stuck, and start creating a healthy relationship with yourself so that you can have one with a partner that you really desire, I want you to join me in my free training on the 3 steps to creating secure love. You can join me in the link below. Now, I also have a free Facebook group and I would love to see you in there. We can meet personally and have a chat there. And if you did want to have a one-to-one phone conversation with me for the Love by Design program, there is an application to sign up for that free call in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you about your feedback and about any questions you have so that I might do a follow-up video. And please click the like button on this video. You'll help this channel out and you'll help more people to see this information. And here are some next step videos for you so you can start to really hone in on your patterns that are getting in the way of your unhealthy relationship so that you can start creating a more healthy, secure relationship with yourself. And for now, I'll see you in the next video.